there's a bigger problem here about how we are going to control the channels of communication in this country.
It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie.
And
but you admit it's all you have right now is a circumstantial case.
Actually, no, Chuck. I can tell you that the case is more than that, and I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now. So, again, I think
you have seen direct evidence of collusion.
I don't want to go into specifics, but I will say that there is evidence that is not circumstantial and is very much worthy of investigation.
So you said earlier this week about the Russia investigation, quote, you really have to be trying to look away to say there's no evidence of collusion here.
The fact is that I've gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff.
And that makes, all of these conversations and the spread of disinformation and its narratives a lot more difficult to track. There's a lot that's going on in the basement of the internet.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. Once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
He made a fortune.
My son.
And he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem.
We can't think anymore in this country. We don't have people. No, I'm serious.
I want to ask you about Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. He removed an FBI agent over the summer from his team after text messages that this agent sent reportedly revealed an anti-Trump bias. Another top member of Mueller's team's investigators, Andrew Weissman, sent an email to Sally Yates, then the acting attorney general, congratulating her for refusing to enforce the Trump travel ban.
To that controversial dossier prepared as opposition research on then-candidate Donald Trump, alleging connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. It's believed that firm was first hired by a Republican opponent, and then the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee funded it from there.
Now, President Trump is again insisting today that reporters should dig into a widely discredited, we need to emphasize that, this is widely discredited, a conspiracy theory involving Joe Biden, Ukraine, and a Ukrainian prosecutor that he helped get fired.
What was your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine, in your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man.
Or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch.
So it's clear that Trump is right when he says that Biden did apply pressure on Ukraine, did threaten Ukraine to fire a prosecutor.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
It's how you hide a little lie, little lie. It's how you hide a little lie, little lie.
That's right, Alex. Earlier today, he did talk to the media about these unfounded claims about him and his son. There is no evidence to these claims.
So I want to ask you about something that's in the news a lot right now. You've been really prolific over the past few years being the head of the Intel Committee, and you defended, promoted, you even read into the congressional record the Steele dossier. And we know last week the main source of the dossier was indicted by the FBI for lying about most of the key claims in that dossier. Do you have any reflections on your role in promoting this to the American people? You may have helped spread Russian disinformation yourself for years by promoting this. I think that's what Republicans and what people who entrusted you as the Intel Committee chair are so confused about your culpability in all of this.
Well, I completely disagree with your premise. It's one thing to say allegations should be investigated, and they were. It's another to say that we should have foreseen in advance that some people were lying to Christopher Steele, which is impossible, of course, to do. But let's not use that as a smokescreen to somehow shield Donald Trump's culpability for inviting Russia to help them in the election, which they did, for trying to coerce Ukraine into helping him in the next election, which he did, into inciting an insurrection, which he did. None of that is undercut. None of that serious misconduct is in any way diminished by the fact that people lied to Christopher Steele.
No, I think just your credibility is.
Well, I think the credibility of your question is in doubt.
All right. I have a question.
You need controls on this. You need regulation. You cannot let these guys control discourse in this country, or we are headed to hell. We are there.